WordPress plus AI is the fastest way to ship a website right now. In the next hour, I'll give you my complete free tool stack and the exact process that I follow to build and deliver websites in under 1 hour. Plus, stick around for the full video and I will show you how you can grab yourself a free 1-year license of Elementor Pro. In this tutorial, I'll walk you through the exact steps that I make to be able to build, design, and deliver an AI website in under 1 hour. And you can follow along with me to get the exact same results as what I do. So when you're ready, let's start building. So there are 2 ways for you to follow through this tutorial, and that is going to depend whether or not you have a hosting account or whether you do not have a hosting account. Now, a hosting account is basically just a computer which is always on a server somewhere in the world, and it's going to host all of your website's files. Now, you need a hosting account because without a hosting account, people that visit your website are not going to be able to access the files of that website and therefore see it. So therefore, we need to have a hosting account. So if you fall under the category 1, where you do not have a hosting account, then follow along in the next step where we're going to be purchasing a Hostinger account, which is the hosting service that I've used for the best part of a decade now, and I've hosted quite possibly thousands of my own and my clients' websites on. In doing so, you'll also be able to claim a free domain name for 1 year, and as an agency owner, I am also able to provide you with Elementor Pro free for 1 year, which is usually an additional $99. So if you do have a hosting account, so under option 2, then that means that you already have your hosting purchased and sorted, and you might already have a WordPress website live on the internet. So that means that you do not need to purchase hosting. You can just follow along the tutorial after the next section where we purchase the Hostinger account, and you can follow along and build this website exactly as I do. And although you don't need Elementor Pro to build the website that we're going to be building in this tutorial, it is going to allow you to build far more advanced and more beautiful websites. And I'll be showing you how you can purchase this for just £19 instead of having to pay the $99 full price. And that's by purchasing one of my agency's licenses. So once you have decided which route is best for you, we can jump over into the next section where you are either going to be purchasing your Hostinger account or we are going to be getting our WordPress website set up. So for those of you following through from step 1, which is to go away and purchase your hosting account, then we can follow along with what I'm doing right here. So first things first, we need to head over to Hostinger. Now, I do have a separate URL, which is also going to offer you some discounts. So if you go to hostinger.com/Ricky, you're going to get an additional 10% off. So if you come over to here, we can see now, it doesn't matter whether you're on the .com, .co.uk, .us, whichever one, it makes no difference. You might see some slightly different prices, but that's also totally fine. We're going to go ahead and select Start Now, and it's going to take us down to the options for our plans. Now, depending on where you are in your journey, you're either going to likely want the starter or the growth. Now, there are some big differences that I'll just quickly touch bases on, but just know that both offer a free domain. So we're going to be able to claim that free domain. So a domain might be something like rickywallace.co.uk, which is my own domain, or any sort of blog post, anything that you type into this URL bar, that is going to be your domain name. So you get one free for either of these purchases, so that's fine. But the big difference being is with the $2.99 per month, we get one website, and the $3.99 per month, you can get up to 50 websites. So a big difference if you're planning on building multiple websites, or maybe you want to start building websites for clients, however you want to do it. And another thing that you'll notice is that you do get a lot more storage for the higher priced plan, so up to 50 gigabytes of storage, and your resources will be higher, which means that the websites will run and load a little bit faster. But if you are just starting out and you're just dipping your toes in, go with the starter plan. And if you decide that you want to upgrade further down the line, then you can jump over to the growth one afterwards. That is no problem at all. So for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm just going to select the starter plan, going to select choose plan. That's going to open up in a new window. And from there, we can then just set up how we want this to look. Now, there are, again, a few different talking points here that we can go over, and that is the period. Now, the reason that this period is important, because this is the period that you are going to be offered that promotional price. So after that promotional period, it will go back up to its normal price. Therefore, it makes a lot of sense, if you can afford it and you plan on doing this for the long term, to go for the longest period possible. You are going to be saving the most amount of money and locking in that lowest price for the longest amount of time. You can see for 4 years of hosting, it's only going to cost you £143. Now, that price might be different depending on where you are in the world. And again, like I said, that's totally fine. But just know, if you were to go for something like a 12-month plan, then yeah, we're going to get this promotional price, albeit a little bit less, a little bit more expensive. But you're only going to lock that in for 1 year, and then it will go back up to a normal price of $11.99. So yes, it is cheaper up front, but it will cost you more in the long run. Now, yes, I am affiliated with Hostinger. Yes, I get paid a small commission for every sale you make. I'm not trying to shove Hostinger down your throat because I make money from it. I'm showing you how to use this because I use it every single day in my businesses and in my clients' businesses. Therefore, I want you guys to get the most value out of this proposition. I want you to be able to reap as many rewards as you can. So if you can afford the 48, go for 48. If you can't, then go for the 24 or 12. Don't go for the 1 month because you do not get your free domain. There is no point going for a month. Minimum you want is 12 months. So let's just say that you're going to go with 12 months. We can see here that we have the option to add in a coupon code. So go ahead and select that. And then in capitals, just type in Ricky. If you add that in, it's going to take another 10% off. So now we can see that the price for this is just £37.69 for a 12-month plan. So just for context, an Elementor Pro license is going to cost you $99 per year. But if you have a Hostinger account, then I am able to give you a free Elementor Pro license. So therefore, if you are wondering whether or not it's worth you getting a hosting account, or even if you already have a hosting account somewhere else, consider the fact that if you get 1 year hosting with Hostinger, then you're still going to get the Elementor Pro for free because I can offer that to you since you are with Hostinger. So with that all said and done, when you are ready, go ahead and select continue. Then you just need to pop in your details, you need to create an account, you need to pop in your bank details, and that is then going to complete the payment for you. Once that payment is complete, we can go away and claim our free domain. So once you've finished your purchase of your Hostinger account, you can then go away and get logged in. So of course, with the login details you created during that whole process, just use those to get logged in and you'll see your H panel. Your H panel is basically your dashboard to your new hosting account. And you can see you can look after things like different websites, domains, emails, and stuff like that. So the one thing that we are interested in this part of the tutorial is how to claim your free domain, and you should see something like this. Now, of course, it might change a little bit depending on when it is you're doing this or which part of the world you're in, but basically you're just looking for the option to claim your free domain. So providing that you have purchased a minimum of 12 months, you will be able to claim that free domain. So go away now and select claim domain, and then we can see that we've got the option here to search for the domain name that we want. Now, depending on whatever it is that you want to build, if you're building it for yourself, if you're building for a client, of course, you're going to need to go away and have a think about the domain name that you want. But for the purpose of this tutorial, we are going to be building a website for a plumbing services company. So basically, I'm just going to purchase a domain that represents something like that. So in this instance, it's going to be RW, which, if you didn't know, are my initials. Going to be RW Plumbing Services, something like that. Now, again, without any spaces, we do not want spaces. You want to go away and just enter the domain name that you want. If you need to take some time to think about this, then absolutely fine. But just even if you have a domain that can just be your little playground to play around with, then it's always good to have one additional domain just to mess around with anyway. And I have lots of domains simply for that purpose. They are not expensive to manage annually. So once we have entered the domain name that we want, we then need to select the TLD or the top level domain. So I'm going to go with a .com. You can go with a .net, a .whatever, whichever one is most suitable for what it is that you are trying to achieve. So with that done, I'm going to select check availability. and we can see that that domain is available. So I'm going to go ahead and select claim domain now. You can see that this is completely free. It would normally cost $19.99 a year, but we are getting this completely for free. Just be mindful now that it will renew at $19.99 annually, so you will start paying for this after 12 months, but it is an annual cost. You don't pay it monthly or anything more. It is literally just $19.99 a year, which is not a lot of money. If you want to cancel that, you can also cancel that, no problem. So don't worry about claiming this and then thinking that you're going to be tied in. You can cancel this at any time. So I'm going to go ahead and select claim domain now. So with that claimed, you can see it's going to take us to our next page, and it's going to finish off that domain registration. So we don't need to mess around with any of the settings, any of the DNS, the domain name servers, anything like that. Because we are all within this hosting environment here, it's going to take care of everything for us. So that has now been completed, and we can see we can now start using your new domain. Now, just be mindful, it does say that you need to verify your email address. So make sure you do get that verified as well to keep your services online. So with that said, let's go ahead and select continue. And then we can see we've got these three options here. So we want to go away and create a website. So let's select. We can see select your hosting plan. So you just want to select the hosting plan which you have just purchased. Select plan. We want to create a website. So let's select that and then next. And then it's going to ask us, do we want a Hostinger or a WordPress? Now, of course, we want WordPress. So let's select that and then next. And here we have to put in our login credentials. So these are our login can't get my words out. These are going to be the login credentials for your WordPress website. So go ahead and type in your admin email and then type in a admin password. I'm going to do that right now. With that done, go ahead and select next. And then it's going to ask us to do one or the other. We want to go ahead and create a blank site here. We do not want to be working with any templates because we're going to be doing that ourselves with AI. So what domain or subdomain would we like to use? We are going to use this RW Plumbing Services, which is what we've just claimed. Let's select next. And now, with a bit of luck, we are all going to be ready to go. So we can see here that we still need to verify that. So I'm going to go away and get that verified now. And then we can actually go away and get logged into your WordPress website. So I just verified that email now. It's just a link that you receive. So I have now verified my email. So I literally just clicked the link in the email that they sent me. So hopefully now when I select check status, this is going to disappear. So if you guys haven't already, then you do want to make sure that that is verified so that it is confirmed and that there's not going to be any problems with your domain. Now, bearing in mind, this says to keep this domain and your services active to turn auto renewal on. Now, if that is something that you want, then go ahead and turn that on. Unless you turn that on, your domain will expire after them 12 months, which means you are not going to be billed anymore, which for some of you might be totally fine. This might just be a domain that you want to play around with for a year and not pay a single penny for. But if you do want to ensure that it doesn't expire, then you will want to turn on that auto renewal. So next, what we want to do is we want to visit the domain that WordPress is now installed onto. So we can literally just click this link. I'm just going to copy and paste that in. And all we want to do is at the end of your domain name, just hit a /WP-admin. And that is basically going to be the space where you log in to your new website. So hit enter when you have done that. And then here you can literally just type in what it was that you used for your email and your password. So I'm literally just going to type that in right now, like so. Hit login. It's going to redirect you to your backend of your WordPress website. So this is what we call the backend. This is the admin dashboard, and this is what we see when we are logged in to our website. Now, the difference being, if we were to look at the front end, that is what visitors to our website is going to see. So I'm going to right click up on here and select visit site. And this is currently what our website looks like. So very, very simple, not much going on here. We've just got a blog post here, which is just fresh out of the box with every new WordPress install. And it's just a hello world blog post. And basically it's just displaying a blog post on our homepage. So there's still a lot of work to be done here. But at least we have WordPress set up and we've got the back end all set up, ready for us to start playing around with and configuring the settings and adding plugins, adding themes and all of this fun and exciting stuff. So first thing that we want to do is we want to just remove all of these bloated plugins. So with a Hostinger install, we can see we've got plugins like Hostinger and we want to remove those. We do not need them. So let's start from a fresh WordPress install here. We're going to come along to plugins and then installed plugins. And all we want to do here is just to delete all of these tools. So you can select them one by one, or we could select deactivate. I'm just going to select this top one, and that's going to bulk select all of them. Here we can select bulk actions, and we first need to deactivate and then apply. And then once they've been deactivated, we can then delete them. So let's select them all again, bulk actions, and then delete, just like so. I'm going to hit OK, and then those plugins are going to be removed. So once those plugins have been deleted, we then just need to configure a few more settings before we can move on. So what we want to do, we want to head over to our settings here. We just want to make sure that our permalinks are correct. So permalinks are the way that the website is going to structure our URL. So if yours isn't on post name, you want to make sure that yours is now. So if it was anything else, what would generally happen is when we select something like a blog post, rather than the name of the blog post coming up, it's going to be some weird different selection of numbers and, as you can see here, the dates and stuff like that. And we don't want any of that because it looks ugly. Not only does it look ugly, but it's going to make the search engines, it's going to make it difficult for the search engines to actually rank our pages. So we want to keep it much more contextual. So if we just use the post name, it's going to be much better for humans to read and for the search engines to read. So that's the permalinks. What we can do is we can come along and just configure a few of our general settings. We've got stuff like our site title there, which is just going to be the website name. That's how it's going to be viewed up the top here as well. So if you wanted to give it a title of RW Plumbing Services, so I'm just going to add in a little bit of formatting here, just like so. And again, this isn't really going to change anything other than what we see on the back end here. So just like so, it will also change what we see up in this tab here. So at the minute, we can see Hello World. But when we are on our homepage, it's going to show us what that site title is. So at the minute, it's saying rwplumbingservices.com. If we come along here now and hit save, and then come back and we hit the refresh, we can see now it's going to show RW Plumbing Services. And again, that's going to be much better for the search engines to crawl your website with. So let's just come back, take a look at a few more of these final settings here. You've got stuff just ensuring that your admin email is correct, ensure that you've got the language and the time zone that you're in, how you want the date and time to be formatted. So go away and get those selected as you want. We are not going to be using stuff like registering or memberships, anything like that, so we don't need to worry about anything like that. Always makes me laugh when I see the week starts on. I'm not quite sure where in the world a week would start on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday or Saturday, but apparently WordPress sees those as viable options. So go ahead and select the week that your day starts on, wherever you are in the world, and then once done, hit those save changes. So with that done, what we want to do now is to add our first plugins. So the plugin that we're going to be using is a plugin called Starter Templates, and that is what is going to help us to generate some AI designs for our website. So let's go away and get that added now. We're going to do that by coming along to plugins and then selecting add plugin. So from here we can just start typing Starter Templates. I can spell today. Starter templates like so, and we can see that we've got this starter templates here, this AI powered templates for Elementor and Gutenberg. So we're going to go ahead and select install. That's going to get that installed, and then once done we want to select activate like so. So once that has been activated, it's going to prompt us to how we would like to build our website. And we want to build our website with AI. So we're going to select this one just here, build with AI. And now we can start putting in a few details about what we want to build. So the name of the website is RW Plumbing Services, like so. This is this is going to be a local business website. So you just need to select the type of business that this website is. So in my instance, it's just a local business. And then of course the language. Then once done, we want to select next. So next up, it says, please describe RW Plumbing Services in a few words. This is going to help to generate some text that is just going to be plugged in throughout this website without us having to lift a finger. We are not going to have to do anything. And so it says here, the best way to describe anything is by answering a few questions. So who, what, where, why, and when. Now, we don't even have to do this because now we can even just say write using AI. So I'm going to hit that button. And then, of course, we can start tweaking this and change this to what we want. I mean, you might even want to jump over to ChatGPT and just prompt ChatGPT with what to put into this box. So again, harnessing the power of AI at every step of our business. So we can see here, RW Plumbing Services, blah, 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 is in Springfield. I'm just going to change that to London. Specializing in, let's just say, residential and not commercial. You get the idea. All we want to do here is just to make this as comprehensive as possible. And the more information we give it, the better the response we're going to get back when it comes to generating that text for the different pages of our website. So go ahead and get that completed next. And once that is done, we want to hit the next button. Next up is going to ask us for ways that people can get in touch with our business. So I'm just going to use one email address here, like so. I'm going to put in a phone number, which is going to be +44, just put in a random number. Address is going to be, let's say, 19 Old Oaks Lane. And then social media, if you have any social media, go ahead and drop that in as well. And that's just going to add links to your different social media channels. So with that done, let's go ahead and select next. So after that, it's going to ask us to select images. Now, this is where things get really clever because we don't even have to go out there and source our own images anymore. So it's going to give us a load of images that we can use simply by searching for what we want. So let's just say that you were construction. You can literally type in whatever keyword you want and it's going to give you a load of images that you can select from. But what I'm going to stick with plumbing for this instance because that is what we are building this website for. And I'm just going to start selecting some images that I think will look good on this website. So I like that one. Let's have a look when these are loaded. That one, that one, that one, that one, that one. You want to select around 12 or between 8 to 12. I mean, you can select as many as you want. It makes absolutely no difference. We can see we've got 10 selected at the minute. Let's go ahead and make this 12. Let's select that one. Let's select that one. That one, that one, that one. 17. Okay, 16. 17. 18. So 18 is absolutely fine for what we're trying to do here. So with that done, I'm going to select next. And then it's going to ask us to choose the design that it is generating for us. Now, one thing that we want to do here, unless you are intending on building with the Gutenberg block editor, which we are not going to be doing here, we're going to be using Elementor. We want to go ahead and change this to Elementor like so. Once that has been selected, it's going to update the previews, and then we can start selecting the designs that we want to use. Now, you will notice that there are some premium designs here, which of course is going to be a paid service, but there is also a free one just over here that we can use. At the minute, at the time of recording, there is just the one design which comes completely for free without having to pay for this. So we're going to be working with this one. And even though it's free, it still is a really attractive design. So what we want to do, we want to take a look at, if we can scroll down, this one just here. Going to select that one. And now we can start playing around with it. So we can see once we've selected that one free theme, we've got what this website looks like. And basically what it has done, it has injected all of the images that we just selected. It has created text for us as well. So we can see that it's got these little these areas for text. But as for the actual design, the design is almost completely done. We just get to tweak a few more things over on the left hand side here with things like our colors and typographies. So you can just with a couple of clicks completely change the way that this website looks and feels simply by changing the stuff like colors and typography. So these are going to be part of the theme settings, and every WordPress will have a theme installed, and from those themes we'll be able to change things like our colors and typographies. And fresh with every starter templates install of a new website is going to install a theme that is called Astra, and this is basically Astra what we are playing with over here. So we are using a starter template design which is built off of the Astra theme, just so that you understand how that all works. So again, select the typography that you like. I'm going to go with maybe this one, and then I'm just going to play around with some of the different color palettes over here. So this is more of a purpley pink one. We've got like a light blue one, which I think looks really nice. And again, all sorts of ones. We've got darker colors over here. You want to go with a darker one, or again, any colors that we want. I actually really like this blue one, so I'm going to select that one. Or do I go with this one? Decisions. I'm going to go with this one. So once you've decided on the colors and typographies you want, go ahead and select continue. It's going to ask us to select the features that we want on this website. So we're going to uncheck this SEO and search visibility, because even though it's, yes, of course, we want to optimize for the search engines, it's going to install an additional plugin which is not, it's just not the best that we can use on WordPress. There are better ones out there, so I'll show you how you can do that afterwards. But we want contact form, we want a page builder, and we want a blog. So uncheck the SEO, that's fine, and then we can go ahead and select start building. At this point, it's going to ask us to create a zip WP account. So what we want to do, we want to go ahead and select, okay, let's create an account. Here it's just going to, well, in my instance, it's going to connect it to my current account that I have with them. Of course, for anyone that does not have a zip WP account, you are then going to have to create that account. And once that has been created, it's going to prompt you to choose the plan that you want. From that page, you can then decide whether you want to pay for this or whether you want to just select the free plan. And if you scroll to the bottom of the page, you'll see that there is a free version. You do not have to pay. So even though it is putting two boxes in front of you for a paid version, if you scroll down, you'll see that there is in fact a free plan. So go ahead and select that free plan, and then you can get redirected back to this page once you've completed your account. So I'm going to start building here now. Going to confirm and proceed. This is going to say now that I have 1 out of 2 AI credits. Because we are just using a free account, you guys, if you are working with a new account, it's going to see 2 out of 2. In my case, it's going to be 1 out of 2. And then we want to go ahead and select confirm and proceed. And so now it's just going to start building our website. And then once that's done, we can hop over and see how everything is looking on the front end of our new website. Once that build process is complete, you'll be prompted with a woohoo, your website is ready. So go ahead and select see your website. So now we can see what this website actually looks like. Now, bearing in mind, we still need to add a logo. We still need to change the menu. You know, we can still tweak the colors and the design and everything. That's not a problem. But bearing in mind, we haven't added a single bit of text or an image manually. And yet this plugin has been able to go away and completely recreate a website, even with the text. So comprehensive plumbing solutions, explore our reliable range of services, leak detection. I mean, it really is quite impressive. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be 100%. Of course, you may still need to tweak the images and the text and everything else. In fact, if you don't have to, that's when we need to start being really afraid, because us as WordPress developers will probably be out of a job at that point. But for now, we do still need to make tweaks and everything else. But we can see from just the outset, without having to do a single thing, this is already looking really, really good. So we've got this nice section here with like these features, contact us CTA at the bottom, and then a very simple footer. So it is looking already really, really good. So what we want to do now, let's come back, say finish setup. And then what we want to do now is just, we want to do a few simple things like add in a logo, and I'll show you how you can tweak and amend the colors and typographies and stuff, and get into things in a little bit more detail. So as for all of this, I'm going to leave this as it is for now. But basically, if we come up and visit our site, I'm going to right click and open in a new tab there, close the existing one. Basically, what we can see here is we have obviously our homepage. What I want to do now is just to drop in our new logo. So I've just created a logo using Canva, and I'll show you that in just a second. But we want to come up and select customize up on the top here. And then from customize, we can start tweaking the options of this theme. So this active theme, like I said previously, is Astra. And this is going to allow us to make very quick changes and amendments to the look and feel of our websites. So stuff like the footer, the post types, headers, global colors and typographies, all stuff like that, we can completely redesign from this option here. Now, of course, this is even before getting into the Elementor page builder where we can get even more granular control. But for now, let's look at the more top level theme settings. Starting off first with our logo. So let's change our logo now. So we can see there are options on the left here. We can also just select the logo here, and that's going to open up the options to then upload a logo of our choosing. So I'm going to select this select logo, and it's going to prompt us to drop this file in. So all I've gone away and done is I've just created this logo using Canva. I mean, I have a pro version, but you can do this just as easy with a free version. You do not need to pay for this. Just dropped in a template and just made it look semi-decent for the sake of this tutorial. And I've also created a favicon, which is going to be our site icon as well. So I've kept them square. All I did was then tweak them in Photoshop. If you don't have Photoshop, just use a service, use a free equivalent like Photopea or something like that. Start using Photopea. It's free to use on the internet, and you can crop your images accordingly. So I always like to crop these right down so that it looks just like this with zero spacing. Now, of course, you can't see that exactly, but you might be able to see when I upload it. So all I've done is just remove any space around the logo so that there is zero space. So once those are uploaded and dragged and dropped in, and you've got your logos added, go ahead and select your actual logo. We want to give this an alt text now, which is the alternative text, which is what is going to be used for people that have accessibility issues. For example, someone that might be blind or hard of sight. Then basically what a page reader will do these days is read out what this alternative text is, so that people that are visiting your website that might be hard of seeing are still going to understand what this image is. And it is also a very large, I say very large, it's not huge, but it's still a contributing factor to SEO. So if you are trying to rank on the search engines will look at your alt text, your titles, your descriptions of each of your texts, of each of your images, sorry, and it will then give the search engines a better understanding of what this page is about. So you do want to use some contextual wording here. So the stuff that is relative, you want to actually do what needs to be done. So it needs to describe the image. Don't just plug in a load of keywords and stuff in there because you want to try to rank on the search engines. Google and the crawlers that will come along your websites and crawl your pages these days, they are far too intelligent for that now. So you need to be descriptive. But you do want to complete all of those different parts. And if you've got any images already added to your website, then you will also want to go back and add each of these and change whatever needs to be changed. So alt text for this is just going to be RW plumbing services. This is, couldn't even spell it correctly in the title. Same thing again. And then the description, logo of RW plumbing services, something like so. Select. So with that done, it's going to ask us if we want to crop it. We want to skip cropping because we've done that all in Photoshop or Photopea. And then we can see that we've got our logo up there, but we've still got this site title there. So let's just go ahead and delete that site title. And then we just want to increase the logo width here. So this is going to be in pixels. Just make this to maybe 200, I think will look good. Now, I'm not saying that this logo is the best, but again, this is just a tutorial. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's not actually going to be a business website. You do want to take some time for your logo to make it look really, really good. So something like that, that's looking really good. And we can, if we scroll down, we can see that we've also got the option to add a site icon. And that's going to be this little icon that we see up in the top corner here. So let's also add that now. Going to select site icon. And I'm just going to select the one that we selected earlier, just like so, or that we created earlier. Well, that I created earlier. Going to skip the cropping again. We can see that has just appeared up in that little corner just there as well now. So if we come back, we can see now that that is already looking a lot better. So let's go ahead and select publish for now, just to save what we've already done. And then I just want to show you how we can play around with a few more of the styles and stuff here. So if we click to globals, we can see we've got stuff like the typographies, colors, containers, and buttons. And we can very quickly start changing all of this stuff again with just a couple of clicks. So find one that works for what it is that you want. I'm going to select that one, and we can tweak it even further by changing the sizing if we want to make any bigger. If we want to get really granular with the actual size and typographies, then we can pick the pairings that we want just here. So again, I'm not going to mess around too much with this. If you just want to play around with the texts and the different typographies and sizes, you absolutely can just there. Same thing with the colors. Again, we can select the color scheme that we want, and we can get as granular as we want with this. We can change each individual color. We wanted to change a different color, so we wanted to make this one green. Again, I'm not going to make that green, but we can get as granular as we want. We've got primary backgrounds, secondary backgrounds. Play around with it. You can get you can literally create any design in any color that you want simply by tweaking the color palettes that we've got right here. So again, have a play around if you want to change stuff like your links and anything like that. This is where you are going to do that. I'm going to come back, and then we can see we've got options for containers and buttons. Now, containers we're going to run into limitations with because it's going to prompt us to unlock the pro feature. So if we want to really get granular with the layouts, the different container widths and everything, then just know that you may need to upgrade to Astra Pro. So we're not going to dabble with that in this tutorial. We're going to come back, but just know that is where you would control those options. So the final setting is the buttons. So we can select buttons and we can play around with the presets, the text colors, the background colors. We've also got the font there, which at the minute is inheriting the typography that we set in our global typographies. So that is going to be the typography that we set here. It's going to inherit the same typography as that, because then that keeps everything all in fitting. But what you might want to do is maybe increase the font weight, maybe make it a little bit heavier in the middle, something like that. You might want to make it capitalized, like not capitalized, but uppercase, something like that. Again, you can decide what is right for you. So again, we've got options to increase or decrease the padding, which is the space around it. The border width, if you want to increase or decrease a border width, maybe you want to change the color of the border, you can do that from here, no problem. There's the border color options, and then the border radius if you wanted to soften or sharpen those edges. So again, if you wanted to make it more round or pill-like or rectangular. So that is how we would do that from here. So once you've selected the buttons that you want, go ahead and select publish again. And that's going to basically bring all of our globals to an end there. So we can start tweaking, and if we want to go in and at any point make any changes to any of those globals, this is exactly where we're going to do it from. So with those bits taken care of, let's go back to the website here by selecting the X. That's going to close that off. It's going to take us back to our home page. So again, although I'm not going to be tweaking any of the images or text here, I will show you how to do that. We'll get into that in just a minute. But first of all, let's just take a look at our header here. So we can see at the minute we've got this home page, about, an offerings, blog, and contact. So what we want to do, because at the minute, if we select our logo, it's going to take us to our home page anyway. So we don't need a home link in our menu. If we take a look at our about page, we can see that it's already done this. I mean, it really blows my mind how good they can do this, because this is only going to need a small amount of tweaking to bring this into a really well designed page. We've got our about page there. We've got our offerings. You might want to rename this to maybe services. So we've got our services here. We've got this comprehensive plumbing solutions, 1, 2, 3. And again, it's not perfect, but it is almost there. We've got the blog there. So if we come to the blog, you can see that it's even written, is it free? Yeah, free blog posts for us. So again, we've got this hello world, which we still need to go in and delete. But we've got these free blog posts now, so that if we actually click on this, we can see we've got this first blog post written. We go back, we've got a second one. And again, they're not going to be polished blog posts, but something for you to work with. So you've got some idea of what this might look like. Of course, we're going to need to edit those blog posts, and we can do that from the back end as well. But we can see we have all of these pages here. We even got a contact page with a simple contact form, which is absolutely spot on. So let's now remove this home bit from the menu here, and then we can move on to the next bit. So to do that, we're going to come back to customize. So let's come to customize now. And then what we want to do is we want to select this little pencil icon up the top, which is going to allow us to edit the header. So we can see that we can start moving these bits around. So if we wanted to maybe put the logo in the middle, maybe we wanted the menu on the left, you know, we can do all of that stuff just with a few clicks and drags of our mouse. That isn't what we want, well, not what I want anyway. I'm going to go with the site logo there, followed by the menu, and I'm going to leave the button over on the right hand side there. But let's just say you wanted the menu in the middle. We just drag the menu into the middle there. You wanted the menu on the left, drag it over onto the left. You get complete control of how this looks. So I'm going to leave that like, just move the button instead of the menu. Let's move the button back there and the menu over to the left so that it looks like that. So we've got the primary menu here. So we can now select this, and then we can see that we've got this option to configure the menu here. So if we select that, it's going to take us to the menus here. So we've got the main menu, which is here under the primary menu. We want to edit that. So let's go ahead and select edit. We can see that we've got this home there. So let's just come along, select that drop down icon and remove that. So we don't want that. And I've also noticed we've got this offerings there, which is okay, but let's just change that navigation label to services, because I think that is way more fitting for what we're trying to do. Also got blog there. You might want to rename that as, you know, ideas or testimonials or whatever it is that that page is going to be about. If you've got a blog, you might want to leave it as blog. It might be news and information. It might be whatever you want to call it. Again, if you want to just change that, you can just change the navigation label. It's absolutely fine. If you wanted to reorder these bits around, then you can drag the positioning of these things. If you wanted to create a sub item, you can select a sub item so that you've got this little drop down. Again, not what we're trying to do here, but I am going to just drag that blog at the end there. So we've got this about, services, contact, and blog. In fact, what I'm going to do, I'm going to just say about us. I'm going to change that like so that it looks just like this. So that is basically how we are going to edit our menu. So with that done, I'm going to just hit that publish now. If we come back, what we can do, we can select the X here, come out of that, and we can see, come back to the logo, select that. It is already looking a lot better. So next, when we want to get into the real granular design, the look and feel of these web pages, changing the images, changing the text, all of that stuff, then we are going to have to fire up Elementor, which is the industry leading page builder. So we can see we've got an option here to start editing with Elementor. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and select that. And that is basically going to fire up the page builder that is going to allow us that real granular control of what this page looks like. So we've got here some options here to notifications about AI. I'm just going to skip that. You may or may not get that depending on when you are doing this. But what we want to do quickly now is to edit any text or images that you may need to edit. Now, at this point, I do want to mention I can talk for hours about how to design using Elementor. That isn't the idea of this tutorial. I just do not have 15 hours to talk about everything in its totality. But if you are interested in learning more about that, that is exactly why I have created my Skool community. So if you go to learn.rickywallace.co.uk/Skool, that is going to redirect you to my Skool page. So this is basically the WordPress Entrepreneur. This is a community that I've created that is basically a place where everybody can get into the design. They can access courses. I've got mini courses inside of the classroom. I've got coupon codes to every single course that I have on Udemy, which, you know, some of those courses from beginner to advanced WordPress and Elementor, we're talking hours and hours and hours. Most of them courses are around 19 to 25 hours long. So if you wanted coupon codes for the very best deals for some of those courses, again, join the WordPress Entrepreneur. It's completely free. You don't have to pay a single penny, and you can join the community of like-minded individuals and access all of those resources that I've got available inside of the classroom, as well as live calls and everything else that goes on inside there. And you can just benefit from being a part of a community of like-minded individuals that want to start their own business. So, shameless plug out of the way. Let's come back to the problem here, which is to edit the text and everything else. Now, again, at the minute, we are just using Elementor, the free version. We are not using the pro version. So at this point, if you have purchased Hostinger and you want to claim your free Elementor Pro, all you need to do is just forward your Hostinger receipt to my colleague. So my colleague is Ellie at rickywallace.co.uk. If you send it to Ellie with just one L, all I need from you is your URL. I need some admin credentials, so admin email, which I want you to set as Ellie. So Ellie at rickywallace.co.uk. That is going to be the admin email. And then just create a password and send that to me in the email as well. Not to me, sorry, to Ellie. What Ellie will then do is she will log into your WordPress website and she will get everything connected up for you. So she will log in, she'll connect your Elementor license to my agency's license, she'll install Elementor Pro, and you'll then have full access to all of these pro versions, these pro elements inside of the page builder. So of course you get all of the pro elements which you can drag in and use on the page, but you'll also have the theme builder where you can build out your theme, you can add different sections, you can add headers and everything else. I mean, again, this is the stuff that I really get excited about because Elementor Pro is just so powerful. What I design and build all of my websites and client websites with. But if you are not getting Elementor Pro, not to worry, we can still get a beautiful website built. So again, if we want to start tweaking any of these bits now, let's just show you how to do that. So we've got here, first of all, an image box. We can see that we have a title here. So if we wanted to just edit this title, we can literally change any of this by either selecting the text on the page or coming over into this left-hand image box over here. So we could say whatever we wanted. We could say reliable electrician solutions, whatever it is that you are trying to do. If you wanted to completely change the text, then do that. You get complete granular control. Change the text there. It is there for you to edit and tweak. I can almost guarantee you it's not going to be 100% perfect now, so you will want to take the time to tweak these things. And that is exactly the same with the images. If you want to change these text, then you select that and change the text. If you wanted to change any of these images, we can also do that. All we have to do is select the image that we want to change, come along, select the image, and then we can just choose a different image. Now again, if you don't have the image inside of your media library, you might want to use another one, something from maybe Splash, Unsplash even, Splash, Unsplash, which again is just a free resource to get images. So if you wanted to search anything here, you can see if there's anything that is better than what you already have, and then just download them by selecting the download button and then just drag it into your media library and then select it to drop into that space. And that is exactly how we're going to get that complete granular control of our web pages. So one last thing I do want to show you because I feel like it's still not quite right, and that is these background images that we've got inside of these containers. So we can see it's just not quite sitting right. So I just want to show you how we can tweak that. And to do that, all we want to do is come to the top level container. By selecting these 6 dots just here, it's going to open up the options to edit this container. So what we want to do is want to come to the Style tab, because here is where we're going to find this image. So this is the image that we currently have in it. We have some options below here, which is going to allow us to tweak the look and feel of this. So the image resolution is currently full. The position is default, but let's go ahead and just center that. It's going to center align that just like so. I think that looks better. We've got the display size to cover. You've got different options here as well, but I think cover is going to be the best for what we're trying to do. I think just with that center is already looking a lot better. Now we can see we've also got that background overlay. So if we come down here, we can see that there's a background overlay, and we can just change that transparency slightly. If we wanted to make it lighter or heavier, we can change the color of the transparent color altogether by selecting this, and we can select a different color there. And then from that, we can change the opacity of that color. So again, have a play around with it, get it looking how you want. And you can do that for all of your background images. So we had another background image just here. Let's do the same for that. Going to select those 6 dots, going to come to the Style tab. And again, all I'm going to do is change that position to center, so that it looks just like so. I think that is already looking a lot better. So with all of those bits done, let me just talk you through what we can see on this right hand side, and that is the structure tab here. So I'm going to just close all of these nests off, because basically we can also use this as a means to navigate the page. So what we have is different containers on different parts of this page, and these are the top level containers, the parent containers if you like, and inside of those you're going to have additional containers and widgets. So again, if we select this container down here, we can see that we've got one text or image box in this case, and then another 2 containers just below it. So again, you can either select the different elements, from the page, or we can use this navigation over on the right hand side to play around with things, and we can even drag and drop things around. So let's say we wanted to change the order here, we can not only just click that and drag this container to a different part of the page, but I find it's a lot easier to just do that from this bit over on the right. So basically, before I start doing that, let's just go ahead and give this some sort of structure. I'm going to name this top container the hero. I'm going to name this one solutions, just by double clicking the container here. And again, this is what I like to do when I'm building websites. The next container is learn about RW. So I'm going to put learn. Next one is going to be a testimonial. So I'm going to double click that testimonial. And again, this just adds some structure. And again, this is just what I do as an experienced WordPress developer. Next one is why choose. So let's just say, why choose us. And then the last one, which is contact us today, which is our CTA or call to action. So now we've got all of that taken care of. Let's just quickly show you how you can just drag and drop these different bits around. So if you wanted to move the CTA all the way to the top, you can literally just use that navigator to drag the CTA all the way to the top. Now, I'm not saying that that's the best thing to do, but again, I'm just showing you what you can do with this navigator over here. And we can toggle this on and off by selecting this icon over here. So turn that on and off just like so. So one last thing that I want to pass on to you before we leave the Elementor page builder behind us, and that is I like to have these additional little toggles on, which is going to help us to design. Just for me, as again, an experienced WordPress developer, it's going to make things easier. So if we come along to this Elementor icon and then select user preferences, what I like to do is I like to have the display mode, I like to have it dark. I always like it dark. I don't like it light. You can choose light if you want. To me, that just glares at me. So I like to use dark all the time. And then you've got here under canvas, these quick edit options. And I like to toggle those ones on as well. So with that done, if we come back now, so what we can now see is when we hover over that pencil, we've got these quick toggle icons just appear. So we can now edit it by selecting the pencil. We can also delete it or duplicate it. So basically, if ever we're needing to create something similar to what we've just done above it, we can just take that and we can duplicate it. Let's move that out of the way. In fact, let's move that over to the left, and we can now drag this to somewhere else like so. So again, I like to have these quick toggle icons on. It just makes building so much easier. and it's just going to have all of those tools quickly available to you on the screen when we need them. So with that done, that is basically how we are going to edit our pages. Now, of course, you need to do this to each of your pages. This is just the home page. You also need to do this to the additional pages of your website. You also want to make sure that it looks good on all screen sizes, and we do that under these responsive control options above. So we've got here, if we wanted to toggle what this looks like on a tablet, this is what it's going to look like on a tablet screen size, like so. We can see, even on a tablet, it is looking really good. We don't actually need to do anything. Normally, if we had to design this from scratch and build this from scratch, we would have to come along and tweak and basically redesign it for every single screen size. But this AI starter templates plugin has done all of that for us. So it looks good on every single screen size. So just check that to make sure for your website it does look good. And when you're happy, you want to go ahead and select publish. Once that is published, those changes will then be live on the front end. We can come back to the Elementor, exit to WordPress, and we're going to come back to the back end of our website. So what we can do now is we can just have one final check. Let's just close that off. Going to hit this icon up in the top left. Going to go back to pages here. And we can now see how our website looks by right-clicking Visit Site, open in new tab. And we can see that it is looking really, really nice. Now, again, I would move these... Okay, so that's when I was playing around with the different elements, the different containers. You got these two next to one another. Again, I'm not going to mess around with them. You know how to move the containers around and to reorder them. I'm not going to mess around by reordering them again. But what we do want to do, we want to just make sure that we don't have any nonsense pages under these pages here. So we've got our about, we've got our blog post page, our contact, our home page, our offerings, which is now our services. So let's just quick edit that. I'm going to just edit that to services. Make sure that was okay. Select, and we've got the slug there, offerings as well. Again, I'm going to change that to services. Going to update that. So the slug is what comes after the rwplumbingservices.com. Instead of / offerings, it's going to be / services. We've also got the privacy policy page, which we're going to have to link to from our footer. And we haven't even started on the footer yet. We're going to build out a very simple footer in this tutorial as well. But for now, it is all looking good. One thing that we do still need to do, which I remembered, under posts and all posts, we've still got that nonsense hello world post. Let's go ahead and delete that by selecting trash. And it's going to move that into the trash. So the next thing we want to do is to create one final menu. Now, with this menu, you can go away and add in as many different pages as you want to the menu, but I just want to show you how you can build out your own menu. So if we come to appearance here and then down to menus, we can then start playing around with our menus. So this is the main menu. This is the menu that we have selected to display in our header. So if you wanted to rename this, this might be our header menu, something like that. You can change that to whatever you want and then select save. Just like we could before, you can also change the location. If you wanted to add in additional pages or posts or anything else, we can literally just add them to the menu as well, just like so. But that isn't what we want to do here. I'm going to delete that home one. We don't want to add the home back into that menu again. What we do want to do is we want to create a new menu. So what we want to do here is select this link here, create a new menu. I'm going to select leave, that's fine. And this one is going to be our footer menu, just like so. I'm going to select create menu. And then what we can do, if we come to pages here and then view all, we can start adding different pages to this menu. What we want to do is to add our privacy policy. So if we come back to, I've got another tab open here. If you don't have a tab, then just open up a new tab. In fact, I'll close that off. What we can do is we can come along to pages and then all pages and then right click, open in new tab. And what we can see is we've got this privacy policy, which is currently a draft. So if we select edit, we can then publish this now. So go ahead and select publish. Of course, you are going to need to edit your privacy policy. Now, I'm not going to show you how to create a privacy policy or anything like that. There are lots of tutorials online. There's literally tools out there that can write a privacy policy for you now. So really, really good. Just hop over to ChatGPT. It will help you create something with a good prompt. And what we want to do now with that published is, in fact, if we come back, what we can also do is just add in an extra page as well. So add page. This one might be terms and conditions. Let's say terms and conditions. Definitely without the X. Terms and conditions, publish, publish. Now, of course, we're going to need to create our own terms and conditions, but that's totally fine. Those are the normal basic legal pages that we should have on a website. So your terms and conditions and privacy policy. You may also have a cookie policy page, but then you would also be using a cookie policy plugin, most likely, that is going to help you with all of the management of consent and all of that stuff anyway. So again, something like Cookie Yes, which is a great plugin for cookie policies and privacy policies. But again, that is kind of beyond the scopes of this tutorial. So what we want to do, so we've created our footer menu now. If we select save, and then all I'm going to do is hit the refresh, because then if we come along to pages and view all, we are going to see those additional pages. So we've got terms and conditions and privacy policy. So let's now add those to the menu. I'm going to just drop the terms and conditions to the top, and I'm going to select save menu. With that saved, that is now ready to drop in to either our header or to our footer. So what we want to do is go to our home page now. Let's come to visit site. We're going to then customize this by hitting that customize. And what we want to do is come down to the bottom here. I'm going to just close off these additional pages now. Come down to the bottom, and then under the footer, we want to select this pencil icon. So we're going to pencil icon that. Now, you are going to be limited with what we can do here. Now, of course, we've got these 3 different rows that we can tweak and change the columns of simply by like selecting this. We wanted to make this 4 column, 5 column, 6 column. We can do the same with this one. We've got just that copyright widget in there, but this is just a 1 column. But if we wanted to make it 2 or 3, you get the idea. We can drag and play around with what this footer is going to look like. We've got a lot of control in that respect, but when it comes to dropping additional widgets in, we can see that we are limited and without upgrading to Pro. Now, if you're considering upgrading to Astra Pro, just consider instead upgrading to Elementor Pro. So Elementor Pro, we are going to have far more granular control over what designing this footer is going to look like, and I'm going to just quickly show you what that's going to look like now. So if you were interested in Elementor Pro, let's say you've already got hosting and you couldn't claim Elementor Pro free from me, from my agency, then just know you can also go to learn.rickywallace/purchase Elementor Pro, just like so. And what we can see here is you are able to purchase a license from my agency. So instead of having to pay for a full year $99, for just £19, I can just connect everything up to your site for you. So this is a 1-year Elementor Pro license for a primary domain, and you can use this on up to 9 staging/development domains as well. So not only do you get this for your primary domain, but you can also get that on staging. So let's just say, for example, your website is RW Plumbing Services. You would get your license for that, but you would also get staging 1.rwplumbingservices.co.uk, staging 2, staging 3, staging 4, staging 5. So you've got all of these different, and these are completely different websites that you don't have to pay for, that you can get a license connected to, and you can use that as a development area, as a place to play around or to build client websites on, and then you can show them what them websites look from that staging URL. So again, if that was something that you was interested in, learn.rickywallace, you can basically just come along, purchase your license, just forward that email to Ellie. You're going to get full instructions on how you can get that connected. You can even upgrade to 2 years for an additional £13. So you get a second year for £13. So again, just works out a lot cheaper than what it is if you was to purchase it from Elementor themselves. So if that was something of interest, then this is where you can do that. But if you wanted to install Elementor Pro, what we can do is, if we come back to our website here, we can come along to our dashboard. We can come along to Elementor. I'm going to just quickly install Elementor Pro. I'm going to add plugin. I'm going to upload a plugin here. I'm going to upload this from my computer because I've got Elementor Pro zip file already on my computer. Going to install that, and I'm going to get this connected. And I'm going to show you how you can build out a footer using Elementor Pro. So you can see the difference, because as you can see here, we are very, very limited. If you wanted to add in that footer menu, so let's just say we wanted the copyright on the left, and on this right hand side, we wanted to drop in a footer menu. Of course, we can choose how we want that menu. So we've got the footer menu. Where is it? Here we go. Footer menu. Let's select that footer menu there. So that's now going to update. So we can then publish. But even with that done, there's not much more we can do to that footer other than this. So again, it just looks very, very basic. So what we can do, once we have activated and installed Elementor Pro, we can then start playing around with the theme settings, the theme builder. So once that is all connected up, it's going to open up this whole playground of things that you can play around with. So now we can come along to our templates, and we've got our theme builder here. So our theme builder is going to allow us to build all of the different elements, the different sections of a website. So if we want to design and build a footer, we can select the plus there. Going to just do this now. Going to open up and open up a new footer for us. And we can now just drop this into the website, and it's going to use this one instead of the Astral one. Now we can see we've got all of these templates that we can literally drop in straight away, just straight out of the bat. So again, very, very simple. But if we don't want that, we can just come along and start building one off the bat. So if we come along here, let's say, okay, got it. So this is our footer down here. We're going to start dropping in a new container. And from here, we can start dragging and dropping in different elements onto the page. So we've got this primary top level container now. Let's just go ahead and drop one container in. We just duplicate that and duplicate that again. We can also change the direction of the parent container. So at the minute it's vertical. If we wanted to go horizontal, it's going to move those containers horizontally. Vertically, we'll change them vertically. We want horizontal so that it's in line like this. Now what I'm thinking, maybe just a logo here, and then a menu there and a menu there, maybe a vertical menu. So maybe let's just drop in, let's go with a title here. Let's come down to heading. I'm going to drop that in like so. And then I'm just going to drop in a WordPress menu below that. Now what I will also do, I'm just going to duplicate. In fact, now I'm going to style it first. So let's just come along to this menu here. Let's just change the default here. Let's change this to default, which is just using the inherited typography. So I'm actually not going to change that. I'm just going to change the size of that. Let's come along to the size. Let's maybe make that a 20. I think that's okay. So 20 is okay. I'm going to change the actual content of that. So this is now going to be, say, legal. So not Peagle. let's not call our legal pages Peagle pages. I'm going to sit with legal. And then what we've got below that is this menu. So I'm going to change this layout to a vertical so that it looks like so. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to move that alignment to the left. Now I'm not going to configure the settings too much, the styling of this too much. I don't think I really need to, but one thing that I want to do here is maybe just remove that horizontal padding so that it comes all the way over. Now, of course, we've got options to change the styles, the typographies, the hovers, all of that stuff. I'm not going to mess around too much with that. You can do that yourself, no problem. I'm just going to change that color to black. Let's just go with the space between. Let's reduce that a little bit. In fact, it's going to be vertical padding. Let's go with something like 8. I think that's okay. Or 6. So we've got this option now. We've got this menu now, which is the legal pages. So our terms and conditions and privacy policy. I really don't like that pointer width, so I am going to change that pointer. Let's just go with a none so that we don't have any hover. So instead what we're going to do is just change that hover color. The hover color is going to go to a darker gray so we can see when there is a hover, just like so. I think that looks better. And with that done, all I'm going to do now is duplicate that and delete that additional one that we had at the end. So now we've just basically got all of the contents of that already in there without us having to restyle again. One thing I will do is just to delete the menu, because this is actually going to just be a company address this time. So maybe company, I really can't spell today, company, like so. And then we want to just drop in a text editor. So let's come along, scroll down, text editor like so, drop that in below company. And all I'm going to do is just make up an address here. So let's go Old Oaks Lane. Let's go Harlow. Let's go Essex. Let's go RM8 4PJ as the postcode. Something like so. Again, this is just Old Oaks Lane. Should capitalize that. This is just made up address. I'm going to go with a left alignment. Typography is fine. Paragraph spacing, let's reduce that. Go with something like that. So that looks a bit better. And then lastly, in this first container, all I'm going to do is just drop in a site logo, something like so. So we got that just like so. So one thing that I want to do, I think maybe the spacing of these containers are a little bit too big. So I'm just going to reduce the size of that. So let's just go maybe to 50 or 60%. And what I'm going to do, instead of just doing that same to that, I'm just going to show you a little shortcut. I'm going to just copy that container by right clicking it and copying, and come into this container and right clicking and pasting the style. So again, it just makes it easier so we don't have to keep doing them same things again and again. So the width of this one is also 100%, just so it's a little bit bigger. One thing that I do want to do is just make this logo a bit smaller. It's too big. I'm going to change this to a pixel width. So rather than a relative percentage, I'm going to go with a fixed pixel width of maybe 275. Align that to the left so they look something like that. Now, got a bit of spacing in between the legal and the company and the text below that, so we can also remove that by coming along and removing this gap down here. So unchecking that, going to do that. We uncheck that, it's going to reduce that to 0. If you wanted to add in a little bit more, just go ahead and increase that row spacing there. I'm going to do that same to the other one. Now, maybe 8 pixels like so, and that is looking good. So one last thing I want to do is just maybe add in a copyright thing. Let's just drop in one last container at the bottom. What I'm going to do here is just drop in a heading or a text editor, makes no difference. I'm going to go for a text editor, in fact. Let's just go with copyright RW Plumbing Services Ltd 2019. It's not 2019, it is in fact 2025, but yeah, let's just say it's an old copyright. Right, all I'm going to do with that, I'm going to move that into the center like so. I'm going to make the font weight a little bit heavier, maybe something like 600. That's okay. And for the most part, that is looking good. All I'm going to do for this, in fact, what I will do is I'm going to reduce come out of this paragraph spacing so that there is no additional spacing, so that just sits in the center. What I'm going to do, that container that sits in, I'm just going to give this a background color. I'm going to give this a dark background color. Let's go with maybe a dark blue, in keeping with the style and color of our website, maybe something like that. And then I'm just going to make that typography, the copyright text, I'm going to make that white. So text color going to be white, just like so. What we can also do, just add in some additional padding and stuff to this one. Let's come along to this parent container. Going to come to advanced. Let's, in fact, no, we'll uncheck the link values together here. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to add in some padding to the top and the bottom. I'm going to go with 25, and then I'm going to type in 25 there as well. Then I'm just going to add in maybe 10 on the left and right, just like so. Just so we got that additional padding top and bottom. We can also give this a bit of a background color. Let's go with maybe a light gray. I think that might look good. Something like that. And we can see we have a very basic, albeit, you know, we don't have much content on there, but as you start to get more pages and everything else, you can start adding in additional columns, additional bits that you want in here. You can even add in a subscribe box, something like that. I mean, it really is, you know, the world is your oyster. I mean, I've built, what was it, LA Design. This was a website that I built for a client before. At the bottom here, we've got a footer that looks like this, you know. So again, you can create a website footer however you want. It really is completely up to you. But the world is your oyster with Elementor Pro. That is what I'm trying to say. So once you have designed your footer with Elementor Pro, we can then select publish, and then we can add a condition to include this into the footer of our entire site. With that added, we can then select save and close. And then when we come back, so exit to WordPress, What we can then do is just have one final visit of our front end like so. And we can see that that is looking much, much better. So we've got this footer that we have designed ourselves without having to pay for Astra Pro, which I don't know, I think costs another $59. But with just Elementor Pro, you have full control over absolutely everything. So really, really worth the investment. So that is how we can build a website. Now we can select every single page that we've got here. You know how to tweak the design, the feel, the colors, the typographies, the layout. It really is a powerful, powerful way to build a website. And when we also introduce AI into the mix as well, it then becomes super easy to start messing around with creating websites for ourselves or for our clients without any delays. It just gets everything done. Everything on the page, gives us a foundation to start building off of instead of having to do all of that ourselves.